Elliot Harper moved into the Bellgrave Apartments on a Thursday. The building was old, not falling apart, but heavy with that unsettling stillness found in places time has forgotten. The carpet in the hallway was faded red. The lights buzzed overhead. The landlord, a man named Derry, handed him the keys with barely more than a grunt and a "Don't bother Unit 4. She doesn't like noise." Fine by Elliot. He was here for peace. That night, as he walked past the mailboxes in the lobby, he paused. 12 boxes. Bellgrave only had 8 units. He was sure of it. The lease had listed them, 1 through 8, nothing higher. But here they were, 12 narrow, rusting mailboxes, stacked 3 by 4 on the wall. Only 6 had names: M. Davison, R. Lowell, A. Kim, his own, E. Harper, and 2 others he didn't recognize. 4 were blank. 1 was scratched out, and 1 read G. Marrow, Unit 9. Elliot frowned. That couldn't be right. He turned to Derry, who was locking the door to the utility room. "Hey," Elliot called. "Why are there 12 mailboxes? I thought there were only 8 apartments." Derry didn't even look up. "Old building. They left some up from renovations. Some got combined years ago." "What about Unit 9? Elliot pointed. Derry followed his finger, then scoffed. "No such unit. Just a name. Mail gets misdelivered all the time. Nothing to worry about." Elliot shrugged, unconvinced but tired. He let it go. The next morning, as he passed through the lobby, something stopped him cold. The mailbox, labeled G. Marrow, had a letter inside. A white envelope, thick paper, handwritten. No return address. He checked again. Still there. The name was clearly printed in black ink. 2 G. Marrow, Unit 9. He glanced around. No one else in the lobby. Elliot leaned in. He didn't touch it, just stared at it. It hadn't been there the night before. He was sure of it. Something about the handwriting made his stomach twist, like it had been written by someone who didn't want to be remembered, but needed to be. He stepped away, told himself it was nothing, someone playing a trick, a glitch in mail routing. But as he turned to leave, he noticed something he hadn't seen before. The door to the stairs was ajar, and behind it, at the far end of the lower hallway, he swore he saw another door, one that wasn't there yesterday, and from behind it, he thought he heard the soft click of a mailbox closing. The next day, Elliot asked the landlord again. "G. Marrow," he said, holding a slip of paper with the name. "Are you sure that's nobody?" Derry didn't even look up from his newspaper. "Already told you, no G. Marrow, no Unit 9 Elliot pressed." "But the letters, someone keeps getting them." Derry's eyes flicked up, tired and slightly annoyed. "Old buildings have ghosts, some just write back." Elliot waited for him to crack a smile. He didn't. Back upstairs, Elliot opened his laptop and searched the building's history. Bellgrave Apartments had been constructed in the 1940s, retrofitted in the 70s, and most recently sold to a property group out of state. He found tenant listings, but no Marrow, no George, Gregory, or Grace. He even scanned archived address directories and historical records. No one named G. Marrow had ever lived in that building, not legally, not officially. Still, by the end of the week, another letter had appeared. Same box, same handwriting. No stamp, no postmark. This one was addressed, 2 G. Marrow, Unit 9. Thank you for remembering. Elliot asked around. Mr. Lowell in 2. A shook his head. "I've been here 12 years. Never heard the name." Miss Kim from 5B looked startled and simply said, "Don't read other people's mail," before closing the door. He considered opening one of the letters, then thought better of it. But that night, curiosity wouldn't let go. He went down to the lobby at midnight, just to check. The letter was gone. G. Marrow's box was empty. He stood there staring, heart thudding harder than he expected. Then, at the edge of his vision, he saw it, a slip of white tucked into the bottom right box, the one with no name at all. He stepped closer. A single envelope, blank, except for 3 handwritten words. Unit 9 remembers. Elliot backed away. The lights in the lobby flickered once, and he heard it again. The soft click of a door closing, somewhere below his feet. Elliot didn't sleep that night. He kept the envelope on his kitchen counter, unopened. Just those 3 words staring back at him in smooth, even script. Unit 9 remembers. By 3 a.m., the silence in his apartment became unbearable. Not quiet, heavy, like something was listening. Like the space was filled with a presence just waiting for movement. At 3:11 a.m. exactly, the envelope opened. Not with a rip, not with a knife. It simply unfolded. Elliot stepped back from the counter as the paper inside slid out halfway, like an invisible hand had nudged it forward. He picked it up with trembling fingers. It was a note. "It's good to hear from you again, Elliot. You were always my favorite." No signature, no date, just that one line. Elliot dropped it. By morning, he told himself it must have been a prank, a bad dream, something explainable. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. The apartment felt colder. Every mirror seemed slower to reflect his movements, like his reflection was lagging behind, watching him longer than it should. When he left for work, he passed the mailboxes. 3 of them had new letters. One was addressed to him, but the handwriting wasn't his own. Inside, folded neatly, was a photo, black and white, faded. It showed the Bellgrave lobby, exactly as it was now, but from decades ago. Different paint, no security system. A man stood by the wall of mailboxes, facing the camera. Elliot stared at the man's face. It was him, or someone who looked exactly like him. Same build, same eyes, same slight slouch in the shoulders. And next to the man, painted on the wall in peeling gold letters, was something else. Unit 9, deliveries only. That night, Elliot dreamed of the mailboxes. He stood in front of them, but now all 12 had names, 12 identical brass tags. Every one of them said, E. Harper, Unit 9. He turned in the dream and saw a hallway behind him that didn't exist in waking life. Long, diamond saws stretching into black. From the end of it, someone whispered, "You came back." And then he woke up, gasping, drenched in sweat. The first thing he saw, the letter, back on his counter, folded, closed. The next day, Elliot avoided the lobby. He took the back stairwell, left early, and tried not to think about the letter, the photo, or the version of himself staring back from 50 years ago. But avoiding the truth didn't help, because the building wasn't done with him. That night, after another failed attempt at sleep, Elliot got up for a glass of water. As he passed the hallway window, something caught his eye. A flicker of motion down below. A figure, standing in the lobby, facing the mailboxes. He froze, watched. The figure didn't move, just stood there, still as a shadow. Elliot crept down the stairwell, heart hammering. When he reached the lobby, it was empty. But the mailbox labeled G. Marrow was ajar. Inside, another letter. This one was addressed not to G. Marrow, but to Elliot Harper. No unit, no number, just his name. The envelope pulsed slightly in his hand, warm to the touch. He didn't open it. He followed a sudden urge, not rational, not explainable, and turned down the short hallway that led to the building's laundry room. But the layout had changed. At the far end of the corridor, where there had only ever been a mop closet, was a door. Tall, old, iron hinges, peeling paint. It hadn't been there yesterday. Elliot stepped closer. The air grew cold. There was no knob, no lock, just a handle. His fingers touched the metal, and it felt alive. He pulled. The door opened with a slow creak, revealing a stairwell behind it. Diamond Soy's narrow, leading downward. At the base, a faint orange glow flickered like candlelight, and then he heard it. Footsteps, slow, dragging, on the steps below, and a voice that matched his own perfectly. "Come see where you used to live." Elliot turned and ran, back to the lobby, back up the stairs, slammed his apartment door and locked it twice. But when he turned around, the envelope he hadn't opened, it was already unfolded on his table. Inside, a key, old, rusted, stained with something dark, and underneath it, scrawled in handwriting that now looked eerily like his own. "You left something behind. Unit 9 is waiting." The next evening, Elliot gave in. There was no denying it anymore. Something was drawing him downward. The dreams, the mail, the flickering lights, the whispers behind his mirror. His apartment no longer felt like his own. The shadows seemed to watch. He held the key tightly in his pocket as he approached the iron door at the end of the hallway. It was still there, unchanged, unnatural. He pulled the handle. It opened easily this time. The stairwell descended deeper than should have been possible in a 4-story building. The steps turned to stone. The walls narrowed. The air turned thick and metallic, like breathing through a cloth soaked in rust. At the bottom, he found it, a door. Old wood. No number. Just a tarnished brass plate bolted to the center. Unit 9. He hesitated, then inserted the key. It turned. The door opened. The space beyond was an apartment, but not like any he'd seen. The furniture was dated. The wallpaper curled at the corners. A clock ticked, though its hands spun in slow, uneven circles. But the strangest thing was how lived in it felt. Candles burned on a small table. A kettle simmered gently on the stove. A coat, his coat, hung by the door, and across every surface were envelopes, hundreds of them. Scattered across the floor, stacked on the table, slipped between books, pressed beneath a cracked mirror. All addressed to Elliot Harper, Unit 9, G. Marrow, Unit 9. Elliot stepped forward, trembling. He picked one up at random. The envelope was soft from age, but the ink looked fresh. He opened it slowly. Inside, a single sentence. "I told you not to leave." He opened another. "You said you'd only be gone a little while." Another. "How long have I been waiting?" He dropped the letters, heart pounding. On the far wall, a framed photograph caught his eye. A black and white picture of a man sitting in the exact apartment he was now in. It was him, aged, gaunt, smiling. Behind him, the door stood open, and in the doorway was another version of him, staring, expressionless. Elliot turned. The door behind him had vanished. In its place, a blank wall. The only way out now was deeper. Elliot ran, through narrow halls that bent at impossible angles, rooms folded into others, staircases that led nowhere. Every path returned him to the same place, the apartment marked Unit 9. The letters were multiplying, spilling from drawers, sliding under doors, fluttering from vents. Each one whispered his name in different handwriting, some written with love, some in anger, some in something far worse. A voice that seemed to hunger. He screamed for help, pounded on the walls, but no sound escaped. Time didn't move here. Clocks spun. Shadows stayed still. The candles never burned out. And the photographs. There were more of them now, lining the hallway, each one showing him, older, thinner, fading, standing by the same mailboxes upstairs, holding a different letter. His eyes hollow, his face tired. In one, he was smiling, but it wasn't his smile. Days passed, or maybe hours. Eventually, Elliot stopped trying to leave. He sat at the small wooden desk in Unit 9 and wrote his first letter. "To whoever finds this, you're not the first. And if you're reading this, it's probably already too late. There is no G. Marrow. There never was. There's just the mailbox, the letters, the door, and now, you. Back in the lobby, the mailboxes shift. A nameplate slides into place on box number 9, E. Harper. The box clicks open, and inside, a new letter, fresh ink, perfectly sealed. A hand reaches in and pulls it out. A woman, new tenant, just moved in, curious, alone. She turns it over in her hand. No return address. Only 3 words. Unit 9 remembers. She looks down the hall, and for just a moment she sees a man standing at the far end, pale, smiling, holding a letter. Then he's gone. And the door that wasn't there before swings open again. Someone has to get the mail. Now it's her turn.